So a question came in. Can you tell us more about the self-acceptance class coming up?
Okay. So, we've been doing a series on like the self-oriented issues, self-esteem, self-image, self-worth, and even in the beginning we did abandonment. So here we're coming to self-acceptance. And really this is about embracing all aspects of yourself. The tendency is that we embrace the strengths, the things we do well, the things we do, where we've had successes, right? But, we tend to not embrace some of the areas that are shortcomings or difficulties, which they are also lessons or areas of growth and development. I take, for example, I have my issue with dyslexia. I grew up, I'm dyslexic. So it makes me process information in different ways. And because I embrace it rather than, trying to push it down or compensate for it, um, there's strengths that come from it because I've made like friends with it. I see things very differently. I see things out of the box, and it helps me to be more innovative, right? It doesn't mean that I still don't have my struggles with it, but I don't really see the struggles as necessarily a bad thing. I just see them as something different. And, I think in the past we've talked about how when I was growing up, the little kids in my neighborhood, when I'd play, they used to take my toys and do this. And so on one level, uh betrayal or somebody knocking my feet out from under me was always a little bit of an issue. And I just chose people that had that tendency because in my mind, the template was this is what a good friend is. And as I got older, it's like, that's a horrible friend. But later, because that is a part of me, that was part of my conditioning, those were part of my experiences, I got paid really well to go into situations where people in corporate setting were having problems or people sabotaging or stealing things or doing something very inappropriately, and they'd bring me in and they'd say like, can we figure out who is doing all those things? And I'd look at, a group of 50 or 100 people, and I'd go, I'd start with those two people. And people would think like, oh, you're super clairvoyant or this or that, which, clairvoyance is there. But the thing that brought me to those two people is like, all these other people are nice. There's part of me that wants to be friends with those two people. And that's my template. Like that was my template from my youth. I'm aware of it now. So when it happens, I'm aware of like these people will betray or try to knock your feet out from under you. So I could pinpoint people very, very quickly in these situations because of these difficulties from my past. And it's like I turn the difficulties into like being an ally, right? We all have difficulties. And part of what happens when we deal with things like this is we start setting like unrealistic standards for ourselves that usually cause us a bit more suffering. So we want to be able to challenge these unrealistic standards. We want to have awareness. We want to be able to be present in situations and not living in some story from the past. And we want to have compassion for ourselves. We want to be able to embrace our imperfections, because when we embrace them, like gifts come from it. Like it's not like they're just like, oh, I have to acknowledge these negative things about myself. It's just we've looked at them in ways that cause us suffering, when really it's just a different way of perceiving things. It's a different way of doing things. It's a different kind of awareness, right? And so we want to cultivate positive self-talk and diminish the mechanics that produce a negative self-talk. And we want to be able to let go of like comparing ourselves to different situations and different people, because we're all unique, right? And so in this class, You know, keep in mind it's a free class, but we're going to go through and explore these different aspects so that it becomes easier for us to accept ourselves, which cultivates a sense of well-being. It's very activating to the heart. It makes us very compassionate to ourselves and to other people. And it just helps us with our growth, be it that it's spiritually or in relationships, in business, or just how we feel about ourselves, right? um why pick up, the tendency is like sometimes we get beat up by other people. Why pick up from where they left off and continue to beat ourselves up? Like, if we can't love ourselves, how can we expect other people to accept us, right? So that's what that class is about.